What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
We have my brother, your brother, the only brother. Well, no, he's not, because there's another brother. But B is here.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing tonight?
We got to get our other brother on here once in a while. We'll see if
right.
if E ever wants to do a podcast. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to talk about the Fantastic Four casting. We're going to talk about the Little Mermaid that Al got to see this weekend. And then we're going to get you guys ready and ourselves ready for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, featuring our boy Miles Morales. So first and foremost, let's go over the exciting news that came out either yesterday or this morning. I think it was more yesterday that I remember seeing all this stuff. And Al and B, I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to see it or hear about it, but they're stating that the Marvel MCU family has casted their Fantastic Four. And unfortunately, John Krasinski is not in. Our Fantastic Four is headlined by Adam Driver and Margot Robbie as our Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. As our, I guess, Human Torch, we have Paul Mescal, who has been known in the indie world, and he has a couple movies and a couple TV shows he's been on. And then our Thing. There was rumors for the Thing to be a female. Not going to happen. We're going to have our man from Hamilton, Daveed Diggs, play the Thing. Okay. And the weird one out of everything is Galactus being played by Antonio Banderas.
Okay. Pero I'm gonna eat your planets. I am a Zorro.
Wow.
Now, listen, actors are actors, so they could surprise us. And again, I guess we all think of freaking Puss in Boots when we think of Antonio Banderas. We're definitely not thinking the Planet Eater and the giant Galactus there. But that is our Fantastic Four, allegedly. Well, it's not really confirmed, but there's always been talks about Adam Driver and Margot Robbie being in there. But I think the other two, Paul Mescal, I've heard things before about him, and then David Diggs is the one that surprised me for the Thing, and I think it's a great opportunity for Daveed, honestly. I think that he's been doing his thing. So, Al, what's your thoughts on that casting?
I mean, I had heard the Adam Driver and Margot Robbie for some time now. I didn't know it was confirmed. I just thought they were like the forerunners, but Daveed Diggs, as the Thing. That's the one I'm going to be looking for because I only heard of him first, obviously, from Hamilton, but then he's been in a few things since. He played the lead. I don't know if anybody saw the
Snowpiercer
TV show for Snowpiercer. I thought he did a great job on that. So to see him getting more work, to expand his repertoire, so to speak, I'm all for it because he looks like he's a good up and comer. So to hear that he's getting the cast of the Thing, he has some good comedic timing. So I hope they let him show that. But I've always seen the Thing as the more grouchy, the more serious of the crew. So it'd be a good thing to see him try to balance the two and bring it forward. But the real surprise for me is Antonio Banderas as Galactus. That's oof. I don't know how that one's going to come off.
Right. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe they'll modulate his voice or something. We'll definitely see how that turns about.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor and everything, but I just can't see him as it.
Yeah, same here, man. I mean, granted, his whole head and eyes are covered and stuff, but still, it just, even like you said, I can't picture. I mean, I hear Puss in Boots, when I think of Antonio Banderas and Zorro. But that's also him acting super like Latino and all that stuff like that. So I mean, I'm sure with his acting skills, he's better than that, and he could do a similar a normal voice, or I guess you could say like the Galactus voice that we think in our heads there. B, how about yourself, man? What you think of the casting there for these guys?
It's interesting, because like it's one of those things where I can't see any of them in the role.
That's funny, man, because the only one that's like plausible for me is Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And even that, I'm like, why is she doing it? Like, they could have got somebody else, but
it's just weird for me. Like, I'm sure, as Marvel does, once they're in a costume and once they start talking and they start doing stuff, it'll be great. It's just like Adam Driver. I love Adam Driver. I'm actually a really big Adam Driver fan. But Adam Driver, to me, is like, he's too artsy to be Mr. Fantastic. Like, I can't be him. I can't see him stretching his arms and not going, oh, like, you know, like being extra Adam Driver. Like, you know. Yeah. I'm interested in Daveed Diggs being the Thing.
Yes.
I'm sure that'll work out really well. You know, obviously he'll show up in person, but then he'll be in his VFX kind of suit for the rest of it. You know, because like when we first heard that Bradley Cooper was going to be Rocket Raccoon, you know, I was like, that's kind of weird, but he did a great job. And so I feel like this is a role that Daveed Diggs will get. Like Al said, his comedic timing will be put in play. The mannerisms and cadence of his voice lend very well to acting. And so I think he'll do great there. Margot Robbie's kind of weird for the role. I can see it, but I also don't know why it's happening. And then, who's Paul Pascal? Mescal. I never heard of him, but he looks like he could be a Human Torch. Like, and
he's got to play a cocky character.
Yeah, he's got to be cocky. And then I am intrigued by this rumor of Antonio Banderas, just because, like, to your point, he does happen to play very Latin roles. But at the same time, I've never not heard him speak in a Latin way. Like, pero like Iron Man, get over here. You know, like
pero like
you will not take my planets away from me.
That's fantastic, Brandon. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, even for me, like, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not the person casting them, and I'm sure with my fucking skills of life, I couldn't pick the right cast for Fantastic Four. But I feel like with Margot Robbie, they just went, "Oh, she's blonde. Let's get her." Like, come on.
She's blonde, and she's a great actress.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many other actresses, and again, maybe it's like, I don't want to say overexposure, because she's not overexposed like that.
It's just not her type of thing.
She's Harley Quinn. She's Barbie. You know, she's in all these other roles, and I'm like, okay, she's cool, but I wanted to see somebody new, somebody, you know, I don't want to say interesting, because Margot Robbie is very interesting as well. But and Adam Driver, to be honest with you guys, I always, you know, with the rumor that Adam Driver could play Dr. Doom, that I could see, you know, it's so easy. And I'm like, whoa, that'd be amazing for him to play Dr. Doom. I really did want, you know, John Krasinski as our Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, I know they always said they didn't want to do it for real, but at the same time, like, once you showed me him, and I was like, yeah, it looks fucking great. Let's do it. You know, like, you know. No. So I don't know. And Daveed Diggs' voice is what concerns me for Thing. You know, like, I remember him playing. Is it Andrew No, not Andrew Hamilton. Andrew Thomas. I think he played in Hamilton.
Hamilton. Oh yeah, I think No.
He played Jefferson.
Oh, Thomas Jefferson. I apologize. Yes. So he played Thomas Jefferson, and I remember his voice. And again, it's just a voice. I'm sure he can change it, modulate it, or whatever. But I remember it being somewhat high pitchy, you know. And I also think doesn't he play Sebastian Al in The Little Mermaid?
Yes, he does, and he did a great job.
So Al sold. I was like,
no, that's what I say. Yeah, kid. I liked him ever since Hamilton. I liked him.
Same.
So.
Same.
I think he can do a good job. And like I said, from the seriousness that he portrayed in, I just drew a blank on the show with the train. Snowpiercer. He did a great job there as well. So I think he can do it. And I love when they give actors like that an opportunity. And I'm sure with everything he's done, he's always done well. So I'm looking forward to it. He played Lafayette in Hamilton. I knew we were saying the wrong.
Marquise de Lafayette.
Marquise de Lafayette. Yep. So, but
Right.
no, I'm glad that you brought up Doom because they're saying Henry Cavill as a potential Doctor
Oh,
Doom.
oh,
And
I
if
would
you're
love
gonna,
that.
kid, if you're
He
gonna
would
leave
fuck somebody
DC,
up.
I would love him as Doctor Doom. Yeah,
Mm,
if you're gonna make him a villain now, that's the
right.
villain to make him. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that out. And
yeah.
be anything to the loss of not having, well, not the loss, but I mean they didn't go with John Krasinski, or that maybe John Krasinski didn't want the job. But what's your thoughts on him not being Mr. Fantastic?
Honestly, I feel like John Krasinski isn't the type of guy to want to do these kind of roles just because
Mm,
you don't know how many years commitment you're going to have to give to that character and the projects
mm,
that's going to take away from. And I know, he's really big on his directing, his writing.
Mhm.
mm,
He's taken to making series and movies that really reflect his own thoughts. So I feel like
mm.
taking on Mr. Fantastic and having that be potentially a 5 to 10 year long role that he's going to have to commit to, that might
Right.
be a bit much for him. Like I can't see him doing, but in the same instance, I also can't see Adam Driver doing that.
Yeah, same. Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like Star
Yeah,
He
Wars
may have,
was 4 years, like I'm sure he was fine with 4 years, but
yeah.
I'm wondering how much of it was maybe timing too, because he's got aren't they making another A Quiet Place movie or spinoff or prequel or something?
Yeah, definitely a prequel I heard is in the make.
So he's got that, and he's got that series on Amazon for Jack
Hmm.
Ryan. So
That's right.
yeah, so it might have been like an availability thing. Maybe he wasn't going to be available when they were going to start filming. So, but
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't know. I hope. I mean, Adam Driver's done well in everything he's done.
Hmm.
I mean, even that show that there was a movie on Snow on Netflix, quiet, I forget, White Noise or something, I think it was called. I
Hmm.
mean, he even surprised me there because I thought it was going to be a nothing character, and he did a pretty good job there as well.
Yeah.
So, be interesting to see if he can pull it off. Because the character's always been nerdy, and but he's never come off as that. So it'd be interesting if he
No.
can bring out that aspect.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I think of Adam Driver, I don't know why this always sticks in my head. It's that movie he did where it was like whether he did or didn't rape the girl in
oh
the
Uh,
olden
yeah,
times.
with
the
Matt
last
Damon,
duel.
the
I'm
last
gonna
duel.
give her the needle, and I'm like, what? That's what you call it? The needle? It's not really impressive, Adam. But it's just I don't know why I keep thinking of him saying that shit. It's just driving making me laugh. It's just making me laugh. I'm gonna give her the needle. Oh man. So yeah, man. I mean, listen, that's the Fantastic Four casting. And again, nothing completely confirmed, but it's been like kind of rumored for a while, all these people. Daveed Diggs is the only one that's like a brand new, like, holy shit, that's I didn't expect that one.
Yeah.
But Antonio Banderas as Galactus has been going on for about a month. The Adam Driver thing and Margot Robbie's been like 2 months. And that
Mhm.
Paul Mescal thing has also been going back and forth with him or the guy who played what's his was it a honk what the hell's it honky tonk man? Oh, help me out, fellas. Instead of just
They
laughing
get
at me.
What?
they got to play the
Throw me a line, B. Burden Love.
Austin Butler.
Austin Butler was the other guy. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, Elvis.
You're the Elvis. You're the worst, Brandon.
Yeah,
I thought you
I
were
don't
doing
know how
Johnny
I-
Bravo for a second. I didn't know what the fuck you were doing.
Johnny
I don't know
Bravo.
how I knew you were doing Elvis from that, man.
Yo, dude. A hunk of burning love. Yeah.
You literally could have just said Elvis. Like,
I couldn't think of the name, man. Oh man. You guys don't know what it is growing up with that person as my brother. Yeah, man. So listen, what do you guys out there think about the Fantastic Four casting, the alleged casting? Do you guys agree with the Fantastic Four choices? Are you guys excited to see it? Would love to hear about it. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below or email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com and we'll read it out loud next week to say you guys cursing out the Fantastic Four people. So Next thing we're going to talk about today is a movie that I did not get to see this weekend, but Al did. Al got a chance to go with the family to go check out The Little Mermaid with
Yeah.
Halle Bailey. I don't want to see Harry. I always get messed
kid,
up with
you know
that.
how many times I've been saying Halle Berry?
Halle Berry, right? So Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid, and of course, you guys know in the news it's been review bombed, and there's also this
Kid.
negativity, of course, as usual with these people.
Yeah.
But listen, if I had my boys, like if they wanted to like really see this movie, I would have definitely taken them to see it. But we were busy doing a bunch of other stuff. So I would love to hear your take on The Little Mermaid, man. What'd you think of watching the movie?
Yeah, if you can get past all the what the negative people were focusing on, it was a great movie. My the whole family went, me, my wife, my daughter, my stepdaughter, and they loved it. They rated it a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
yeah, it's for the most part, it's a beat for beat adaptation of the cartoon movie from '89. A lot of the same plot points, a lot of the same songs. Some of the songs were tweaked to be a little modernized. Some of the scenes were changed a little bit, again, to bring it to modern times. Now, a lot of people say that like as if it's a negative, but for a movie that was originally made 34 years ago,
No way.
Yeah, I think it was '89, I think, when the cartoon came out. So, yeah, so, a lot, society changes a lot in 34 years. So to keep saying, oh, one of the things I get bothered by sometimes is when people dismiss woke as if it's a bad thing. To me, woke, I always laugh when people say woke and then they can't define it because they know if they define it, it's not a bad thing. To me, it's just making sure that everybody is represented. We're not, it's not a homogenous group anymore. So to represent every character that way, I think is a disservice to what society is now. So I like what they did. You have a fictional being, which is a mermaid, and you just changed her skin color. Nothing about the story was changed. All the beats are there and everything.
Nothing else different.
Halle Bailey, I don't know if her acting was 100% of what I would have wanted from the actor who played Little Mermaid, but she did a great job. Like with the singing, forget it.
That's all I keep hearing.
Yeah, kid. I mean, it was incredible. The singing, the way she did the performance of the songs and so forth was great. I thought the supporting characters were great. Like you said, David Diggs with Sebastian. You have Aquafina as Scuttle. And what's the kid's name? You have this guy, Jacob Tremblay, playing Flounder. Incredible. I mean, Sebastian's character alone was my favorite in the movie because he had so many little one-liners that cracked me up. And, the whole moral of the story is still there. Like like I said, we left, they were, not tears, but they were, like teary-eyed.
They were touched.
Because the whole meat of the movie was always the story of her and the father. Little Mermaid, Ariel, and King Triton. And him being this overprotective parent and learning he has to let his daughter grow and go out on her own. And to watch that play out, it still hits the same emotional beats. It still hits, the same way and teaches the same lesson. So, and it does it very well. There's a lot of changes that they have to make because now you're not talking about a cartoon where you can literally show a fish blowing a saxophone. So, so there's some liberties they have to take with changing some of the scenes to be live action. But, I thought they did a great job. I think I walked away enjoying myself very much from this movie. If you go just wanting to see an adaptation of the cartoon that keeps the spirit of the story alive, and you just don't care of the physicality, the appearances of the portrayals, you're going to be, I think you're going to be satisfied with the show. I went to a theater and they clapped at the end. So for whatever negativity you want to say and people want to focus on is because you want to focus on that.
Right.
That theater, everybody loved the movie, and it was a mix. It was, it's not like you can say whatever you want.
Right.
There was a good representation in the audience as well, and people left clapping from that movie again because to me it did what it was supposed to, which was just tell a story, of a father and daughter, and a daughter wanting a girl coming of age, wanting to explore and move on,
Mhm.
and so I thought it was good. Being a father of a daughter myself,
Right.
a lot of the topics that they were hitting on hit home because I know eventually as she gets older, I'll be facing that and
Stop
having
talking
to
about it,
deal.
Al. Stop
So,
talking about it, man.
so that's
Oh.
what I was saying. Yeah. So if you stop focusing on what they look like and that stuff, and just take the moral of the story,
Yeah.
it was a great movie to go watch.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I don't
Wow.
know. Yeah, again, it was great. It was funny, like I said.
Mhm.
And people, and I know the rap is horrible. Aquafina's character does a rap. It's not the greatest. I don't think it was meant to be. It wasn't meant to
Mhm.
win any awards. People, it's a movie for kids. But I was cracking up when she did her little rap. So that's one of the big complaints I've been hearing. Everybody keeps making fun of the rap. Kid is not meant
Right.
to win an award. Aquafina is not a rapper. She's a comedian. So,
Mhm.
an actress. So, and she
Yeah.
did what the part asked for, and it made me laugh. So again, don't go in there with your biases. Just go in there to enjoy a movie.
Right. Watch it
And
for what
it
it
is
is.
sad for a movie like this to have to keep fighting off these kind of negativities from people who probably didn't even watch the movie.
Right. Exactly.
It's
Didn't
pretty.
even give it a chance.
Yeah. It's pretty
Yeah.
sad to keep hearing people, like you said, review bomb a movie they probably hadn't seen. So it's a
Yeah.
shame.
I hear you, man. B, how about for yourself, B? Any interest? I know you've been a big fan of some of the Disney stuff, especially the Pixar stuff. Any opportunities for you that you want to see this movie? Or you're going to wait for like a Disney Plus thing on this one?
I was hesitant on this movie because I'm not the biggest Little Mermaid fan.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Not one of your favorite stories.
Not one of my favorite stories.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, let me see what people say before I see it, just because I hold Sebastian in high regard, and for Sebastian to not look like Sebastian. While this is a whole different take, like Al said, this is 34 years later. Things have to
Mm-hmm.
change, things have to progress. I was kind of like, I don't know. So I'm waiting to hear just reviews, like
Mm-hmm.
Al said, for me to be like, I'll either see it by myself or I'll wait for Disney Plus.
I got you, man. Yeah, I don't know what it is for me either. Like Al said, this movie came out 34 years ago, so I was young in my life at that moment in time, and I definitely saw it in the theaters. I definitely owned it on VHS. If you guys don't know what a VHS is, look it up. So it's like there's a curiosity in me to go see it again because I don't think I've seen that movie. If the movie came out 34 years ago, probably last time I saw it was about 30 years ago because I definitely saw it more than once. So there's a curiosity to go see it, and there's also curiosity in me, like why I didn't go rush to go see it or make it a emphasis to go see it with my boys. Not sure, but hearing Al's review of it, I'm gonna ask my kids, hey, do you guys want to go see Little Mermaid, or do you want to go see Miles Morales? And then I'm gonna ask just like that. No, I'm pretty sure I know who's gonna win that one, but no, I definitely will ask the kids if they want to see the Little Mermaid and give them the opportunity. And if they don't take that opportunity, seriously, I think I could see myself waiting for Disney Plus to come and watch it.
Yeah.
Because I do remember the first movie, and I did enjoy the first movie. Saw it. But Al, man, I mean, so like you're giving me the you need to see it vibe, or you should see it vibe.
You should see. I mean, it's a good family movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say to people by themselves, definitely go see
Right.
it. But if you got kids, if you're a big Disney fan, yeah, if you like the original, go see it. I mean, I hate hearing people that say they love the original, but they're not going to go see this one. Really?
Right. Like
You-
why?
yeah,
Did you go
exactly.
see Aladdin? Huh? Did you go see The Lion King when they remade it? So what's
Yeah,
wrong with this one?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
So you're saying I shouldn't go see it by myself?
No, go see it. If you're a fan, go see it. If you're into the movie, go see it. I definitely
Yeah.
think once it hits Disney Plus, this is going to be like an Encanto and all them, where
Right,
people
where it's
can
like
put it
huge
just on
following
repeat.
afterwards.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because once people can see it at home and they don't have to work, they can just put it on repeat or watch it whenever they want. I think it'll be a repeated movie that's going to be watched. Kind of, I think they call it like a babysitting movie now. They call it. So I definitely think it'll be one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, all you tough guys down south, you ain't gonna watch it. And all of a sudden, Disney Plus, you guys are watching it when everybody's asleep. We know.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. But like I said, just Sebastian's gonna have you cracking up.
Oh, I definitely want to see it, man. I can't picture me like 10 o'clock at night going, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to see Little Mermaid by myself.
And it's over 2 hours, man. So yeah, you're gonna have to.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, well, geez.
Yeah. I was surprised when I saw that runtime. I was like 2 hours and 15 minutes for Little Mermaid. But you really don't feel it, kid. I'll be honest, you don't feel it. You're laughing, cool. You're getting caught up with some of the emotions and some of the scenes, and before you know it, it's over. So
wow. That's awesome, man. Really great to hear. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the moment in time where we are now going to get you guys and get ourselves ready to go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And this movie's coming out this Thursday. And again, it's one of these animated films that really stood out because I think it came out the same year as Infinity War. And even I think Black Panther came out that year also because it was February, and then Infinity War came out in, I believe it was May or something. So, yeah, man, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And let's start off, B, with your thoughts on the first movie there. Like, what did you like? What did you enjoy about the movie? I mean, if I remember correctly, B, we saw this in Maryland or Washington, D.C. with Eric, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Virginia, I think. Yeah.
Virginia? Okay.
And I loved it. I thought this movie was great. For coming out from Sony, they did a really good job. I loved Miles Morales' story. Having read the comics from Miles Morales when he first came out, I was intrigued to see how they were going to do this movie, and I thought they did an awesome job, not just with his story, but all the Spider-Man story that they were in that movie. From having that one Spider-Man to having Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Gwen. I thought they did a great job with each of their stories and how they were all essentially tied to a Peter Parker and a death of a Peter Parker, how that all brought them
family
in. Family member. And then I just loved how they did all the villains, from Wilson Fisk to Doc Ock. They did a really great job setting up that story. And I think the one that took me by surprise the most was the Doc Ock reveal. And, how, it turned out to be that the lady. And it was oh, I didn't see that coming. Like, that was a pretty cool reveal. And just the art style, how everything went, it all blended very well together to be a really good story and cohesive movie, especially at the time. Sony wasn't doing a lot on their own in association with Marvel. And so to see Sony put this out, I was really excited for them. I think this was just around the same time as Venom 2 got announced. And so it was like, all right, like, I'm excited to see what Sony does. And they did not disappoint with this movie.
No, they definitely didn't, man. I remember watching this movie in the theater and being blown away by it. I was like, wow, that was really freaking good. Like, when you see an animated movie, you have this preconception that it's going to be like a kid's movie. It's not going to be for adults, and then you get surprised every once in a while, like Pixar does. Like, they have adult content in here. You know what I mean? And in this one, of course, like the first thing that happens is, Spider-Man gets beaten the shit out of and dies. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And then we get the story of the Miles Morales and how he becomes his own version of Spider-Man, how he becomes himself Spider-Man. I thought it was a great story. Like you said, the villains were incredible. That was the first time I've ever seen Miles Morales. I've always heard about the comic book version of this Miles Morales. I remember the big deal being like, oh, he's Puerto Rican and half black. It was just like, oh, this is new Spider-Man take. But I was always confused, like, why would they call him Spider-Man? Like, there's already a Spider-Man. I never understood that. And then watching the movie, you get that feeling like, oh, I get it now. You know what I mean? Like anyone could be Spider-Man. You know, so whoever takes on that mantle or takes on that role is a Spider-Man. You know, and I got that from the movie, and it was awesome, man. And I just love how heartwarming it was, how touching it was, how well written that movie was. It was really a great time. And like you said, the art style itself was different and incredible. I thought it looked great. It weirded me out at first when I first saw it because it was like kind of like almost like how comic books look, like little dots. And then all of a sudden it was just like it would shake or do something because they were messing with the multiverse. I really, really appreciated it and I really enjoyed it. Al, how about you, man? What was your thoughts on watching the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that first one?
It pretty much amazed me because kind of like what you guys were saying, like just the visuals alone caught me off guard because I never knew what to expect from it in terms of how it was representing the universe or the world or the darkness and the visuals, and then it would go to a very colorful scene and so forth, and that just kept your eyes fresh because you weren't just getting the same standard color scheme that they were going to put in.
Right.
And then just the liveliness of Miles Morales. It was a different take on what a Spider-Man hero is and who he is and how he interacts with those around him and so forth. So, you had to go from the Peter Parker version of a Spider-Man to now the Miles Morales version of a Spider-Man, then to be sucked into a multiverse where you're getting Spider-Man Noir, like Spider-Ham or where was his name?
Spider-Ham.
And then to make the twist on it as well, where we get Spider-Gwen because, Peter Parker wasn't the one that became Spider-Man. He actually became Lizard and it was bit by the spider. So to see all these different dynamics, and what ifs play out in one movie, and it was incredible. And the fact that they didn't stick to one trope, they just went with, what happened if everything could happen,
Right.
And we got to see all these what ifs play out as if to each of them, this was their norm. I mean, we even have a little girl that's controlling a robot, I think was one version of the Spider-Man. So it was just
She's
incredible.
Like from an anime verse, right?
Yeah. So it was fun just seeing them say, whatever's out there, let's just do it. And somehow got it to fit and work in a movie. And it made sense and it didn't seem like too much was going on. It didn't feel like they were trying too hard to do too many things. It all seemed to fit into the story. So it was great. And to now have a sequel coming from it, which we saw was inevitable given how well the first one did. But it kind of also makes sense because at the end of the movie, you wanted to see more. So it was a lot. And considering it's an animated movie that we're talking about says a lot to how well the story was.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I remember some of the key notes for me is, again, it's in the writing, right? It's what they say to each other and how it affects us. And I remember every time a Spider-Man met another Spider-Man, the first thing they would say is, "You're just like me." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." Like every time it happened, like, "Oh, they got the Spider tingle or the Peter tingle." They all got it, and they would look at each other and they'd be like, "Oh, you're just like me," or that's how they would relate to each other and be like, "Oh, I know you're this version Spider-Man over here." And I thought that was beautiful. And again, I even love the fact that towards the end of the movie, they don't think Miles is ready. They think Miles is still learning. He's still, which he is. I mean, he's only been Spider-Man for what? I think it was like a day or two in the movie. Yeah, it was a very short time period. And I can understand what they're saying. Like, dude, you're not ready. Look at what happened over here and almost happened here. And he just took on that responsibility and said, "No, you're all leaving and I'm shutting down the computer system." Like, I was like, wow. And I just remember like even getting touched by it. Like the fact that he wouldn't give up and he said, "I'm tired of everybody telling me what I can't do or what I'm supposed to be." And I was like, oh, it's fucking movie and the messages. Like, it's beautiful, man. And again, I truly enjoyed the story. I truly enjoyed seeing the different Spider-Men. And just that, like, even when they went downstairs to the lair under the shed, like the different Spider-Man outfits, he's like, look, that one has a cape. Like, it was just really, really interesting and cool, man. And I just honestly, I'm looking forward to part two. Was there anything else that stood out for you, Al, in the movie that you like besides just the like the story and the art style and everything else?
I like the fact that they brought in Aunt May and that she was
Yeah.
a part of it. Like you said, when when he goes to Peter's house and she takes him to the lair. At first, it's the little shack, and then becomes an elevator, and it's this massive, lair and so forth with all these devices and everything. Like, like I said, there was so many layers they kept touching on, and given that there's so many different versions of Spider-Man, how they brought all of that in, blended them together, I thought that was, just great in terms of if you're going to have a multiverse and you're going to touch on a multiverse, play with what that allows you to play with. And they did. And I like that.
And Brandon, I don't know how much knowledge you have about the Prowler from beforehand, but I think that the way they used the Prowler as the quote unquote Uncle Ben in the story, I thought was beautiful also, because they made you relate to him. And it was almost like I hate to say it like it's a cartoon movie, but even if it was just like a real movie, that oh shit moment when the Prowler takes off his helmet and it's his uncle.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Prowler?
I thought the Prowler was great. The Prowler's been used a lot of different ways in the comics, especially the Spider-Man comics, because like he was actually one of Spider-Man's villains, but not a big one. And then they kind of made him like similar to Miles in the Ultimate Comics. That's the comic in which Spider-Man actually died.
Right.
And so I actually really like that they use that, because in other comics, and I mean in other media as well, if you remember the Spider-Man PS4 game, his father is usually the one that bites the bucket. And he becomes the Uncle Ben of it. And so for him to do the Prowler as the uncle and having that family member be as the enemy kind of a thing, I thought that was a really great touch to the movie.
Yeah, man. Definitely was. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed the way that they wrote that movie out and had everything played out. It was absolutely crazy and great. One of the things also out in the trailers for this new Spider-Man 2, they don't really harp on the older Spider-Mans that we saw in the first one, the Into the Spider-Verse. I'm pretty sure they're going to be in this movie, or at least some of them will be. I don't know if Nicolas Cage is coming back as Spider-Man. But I do hope to see him again because he was hilarious. But at the same time, and Spider-Ham has to make a pop up because he's just hilarious. Like seriously, cartoon pig. But it looks like it's more of a Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen, and then a bunch of different variations, different Spider-Man, Spider-Women, Spider-Man, everything. There's a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a Spider-Man. There's a cat as a Spider-Man. There's every culture, every ethnicity, everything Spider-Man. So it's gonna get Spider-Man overload. Yeah. Are you ready, Al, for a Spider-Man overload of God knows how many variations and multiverse?
Yeah, and again, from the trailers, it looks like they're gonna have again a lot of fun with it, because they do the whole cartoon where you have all the Spider-Mans pointing at each other when he says "Get Spider-Man," and they go, "Who, you?" and they're all pointing at each other. Yeah, I thought that was hysterical. They did it in No Way Home, where they have them make fun of that meme, and now it looks like they're gonna do it again in the cartoon.
Right.
And the fact that they're having fun, I think there's there's a character playing like an Indian Spider-Man, and you have, I'm looking at the list, like Issa Rae is playing Jessica Drew, which is like a different version, and it looks like she's shooting the spiders out of her fingertips.
Wow.
And then of course you have Oscar Isaac playing. That was his name. It's Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah,
he's the coolest.
And they describe him like as a vampire or something, and Spider-Man. Wow. Yeah, kid, it looks crazy, and that's what it's like to have just to know that they're going to have fun with it, and look to see. Yet they're going to keep it serious, and can't believe I'm saying serious when I'm talking about all the craziness they're doing, but it's still going to flow with the story and it's going to make sense based on the plot, which is what I'm hoping they carry over from the first one, where that was the case. There was a whole, like, a Pandora's box of craziness opened up, but it still somehow made sense for the movie.
Right.
And given the context of what I think is going to happen in here in terms of loss, I think that it hopefully should play out for a good balance of, emotional as well as silliness and hysterical, stuff happening throughout the movie, and then balancing it out with that seriousness. So I'm looking forward to this movie a lot.
Yeah, same, man. And Bree, how about for you, man? From the trailers that you've seen, what are you excited to see about this movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I'm excited to see how they push this story forward. Whoa, that was weird. But the trailers, because they look really intense about whatever this problem is, whatever is going on that may have been caused by Miles, maybe not, and just to see everyone react to it. I'm interested in seeing what this story is. Does it really revolve around Polka Dot Man? Is that really the spot? Polka Dot Man and the Spot are played by the same actor.
Right.
I'm interested in seeing how this all kind of comes forward and what's the deal with Miguel O'Hara. Because it seems like there's something shady going on about him and his spider fangs that give out toxin. But I'm excited to see the story.
He's going to need a viper punch, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, and listen, the last thing I'm going to ask you guys about this movie is I always hate to do this because it's always so cheesy to be like, oh, but do you want to see this? But it's the truth. It's been a rumor since the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And that is whether or not we're going to see any of our live action Spider-Man. So we're going to see Tobey Maguire. Are we going to see Andrew Garfield? And are we going to see, what's the name of the kid? Tom Holland. Are we going to see any of those three guys in their cartoon form, or do we go into a reality that has a Miles Morales and he comes into our universe? Any hopes or thoughts of that, B?
No.
Keep it simple.
No.
Nah.
Because it's one of those things that we know those characters, we know those three Spider-Men. And so it almost feels as if they were involved, it would be a story around them,
Right.
Where we know that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man won't stop until the day is saved, with him included. So I don't want him there because I want it to be Miles' story. I want it to be Spider-Gwen's story. Peter B. Parker, I want it to be their story and see what they do with it. And I feel like having those other Spider-Men in it would be taking too much away from it.
All right. So B says no to this one, but then it'll definitely happen in the third one. Al. What's your thoughts, Ben? Do you think they're going to touch it on this one?
I've heard rumors of it. I hope they don't, only because, this was Sony's telling of Spider-Man, and more so Miles Morales.
Right.
I mean, with the hopes of actually bringing an actual live action Miles Morales into the MCU. If you do this, you're almost making this version of Miles Morales now the canon. I mean, I know they're doing the whole multiverse, so they can always change it, but everybody's going to say, well, you already brought him in. Why not put him on the screen and just make it live action? And it may hinder whatever version they were going to put on the screen originally.
Right.
So, I mean, I would almost want to let them leave it separate. I know it's tempting to mix them in. But I don't know if I would want them to.
I got you. Yeah, man, I go back and forth with it also too, man. I always think about oh, that'd be cool. But then kind of like you guys both kind of intimated, which is, this is Miles' story. Why bring those other three into it? Let him live, let him have his own thing, and we'll go from there. And maybe one day, not today, but someday, have them all mixed in. And the reason why I think that it may come in sooner than later, and again, this is wishful thinking. I know that in the Secret Wars, the more recent version of Secret Wars in the comic books, Miles Morales had a big part in it, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think like maybe Secret Wars, he'll show up and it'll be like a oh shit moment and cool. And there's a part of me that also wants to see a live action Miles Morales in the 616, or at least maybe get his own movie besides just the animated. So yeah, that's my hope and that's my wish there. As far as like anything else that I would hope and wish for, honestly, I just want to see some cool villains, man. I want to see something cool. I don't think Spot's going to do it for me. But again, I think there's something going on that's deeper than Spot. And so, like Brandon said, I think there's something up with Spider-Man 2099 there. So looking forward to seeing it, man. It's going to be a great time in the theaters.
Do you guys have any ideas of what the twist is?
None.
No?
None.
I thought that there was like another group in this movie, like of bad guys. And I feel like
really?
Spider-Man 2099 made a deal with them.
Oh.
Because I noticed that we haven't seen Spider-Ham and all those other people in trailers. So I feel like maybe because they had stopped the initial multiverse thing that happened in Into the Spider-Verse, I feel like they're like being held prisoner somewhere. And Miles Morales is one of those people who have to be like thrown in jail or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm wondering. What about you, Al? What you hearing?
No, what my take from the I don't know, the feeling I'm getting from the trailers is that they all share a loss. And we assumed from the first one that the loss was the uncle. I'm thinking that the loss is the father in this movie. Ooh. And they tell him that you have to let your father die because we all have a common loss. And you have to either choose to save him or save everybody by allowing it to happen. And his thing is, no, I'm going to try to do both. And he becomes the bad guy because he's rebelling against, I guess, the supposed order of the multiverse in trying to have both in terms of saving everybody, but also saving his father. So that's what I think is the whole battle between them. And Spider 2099 might be this like rigid, like, no, even if at suffering, you have to let the things that happen, right? Or the things that are supposed to happen. So you have to let your father die. And then because he refuses, that's what causes the conflict.
Right. So, I think, it's funny you say that because I can replay the trailer in my head. That's the reason why he's like, no, you can't do it. We have to stop him. I hear those things. Now I'm like, oh, maybe Al's on to something right here. That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see it because again, that's gonna drive the stake in my heart, dude. Like, just don't do it. Let him live. It's bad enough I had to cry and watch that shit on the PS5, man. Dude, this shit was heartbreaking, dude. I was like, oh, they killed Miles' dad. Oh man. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I can't wait to see it, man. And listen, next week, guys, come back, or if you find us again, we are going to be reviewing the Across the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Miles Morales story there. So please come back next week where we talk about Across the Spider-Verse, give you our thoughts, our takes. If there's post-credit scenes, we'll definitely talk about it. And we're going to get you guys ready because I believe the week after that, if I'm correct, is The Flash out?
Yeah.
So we got to get you guys ready for The Flash. I mean, it's been so talked about for the last 6 months how great this movie is or how good this movie is. We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
But we'll get you guys ready for that movie. So we'll do the Across the Spider-Verse review and get you ready for The Flash for next Thursday. So listen, we are the Real Fan Review from Long Island, New York. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, hit the subscribe button. That way you can come to us every week or see whenever we put out a podcast, whether it's on YouTube or if you're watching on or listening to, if you're listening on a podcast, hit that little plus symbol. That way every week we put the podcast out, you get it. Or if you hit the subscribe button, that podcast will pop up in your feed there. So listen, saying good night from Long Island, New York. We are the Real Fan Review. We got my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, myself, Hoff, saying good night. Looking forward to Spider-Man. We'll see you guys on the next podcast. Until next time.